Welcome everyone, and today you join me at probably one of my favourite lakes here at Weston Pools is the clay pit. Now this is not your normal commercial, it's quite unique where it's really deep, like God knows how deep it is down in the middle of the lake there, but it can be brilliant fishing this time of year. So what I've done is brought you down here today. We're going to fish in the deep water and see what we can catch. Sometimes it's about fishing and you can just enjoying it, seeing what we can catch on these commercials, and it's nice and unique. We can get some bites. So what we're going to do is just run about where to fish in the peg, what we use to catch them, i.e. rigs and bait, how we go about feeding it, and then we'll get some fishing done. Right, so areas the peg to fish. With it being so deep, we're going to have to be looking for top 5 of water, say 15 to 18 foot deep. Now we're going to have this at 30 metres on this peg, and what you're going to find is it will drop off like a massive shelf, and what we want to do is ideally find a nice flat spot where we can feed some ground bait. So from past experience, I know this peg has a little flat spot, say 13 metres, where we can fish on nice and catch some fish. Now you may ask, what type of rigs are we going to look into use there? What type of gear would you need to come down? But what we're going to do, just show you the rig. Ooh, just come off the winder there, it's coming in now. As you can see, you're probably not all going to get on the camera, it is very deep. It's going to be top kit in 2 sections deep. It's about a foot shorter than that, so it's probably like 15 foot. So I'm going to start at this end and then work my way up the rig. I've got 010 SFL, just a pre-tied, and I've got a few shot strung out, and then I've got an Olivet of 1.25 gram. This because you don't want an Olivet, because you don't want a load of shot bulked up around there. You probably need like 15 number 8s to shot this float, probably more. So you just want a nice Olivet to get your bait down to the bottom where you're going to be fishing. Durable main line, I got 015 power line. You don't want to be, if you have to move your float, you don't want to be moving it up and down and breaking the rig this deep, because it's a lot of effort to tie one of these up. Then down to the float, it's a nice big heavy float. We've got an intercarbon 0.15 there, just so you can get the bait straight to the bottom and catch these fish where they are. Then we've just got a little back shot there, and then we've got solid number 8 elastic. If we start hooking carp, we might have to change it to say a 10 or 11 holler, but because we're trying to catch roach, skimmers, perch and the odd carp and F1, you don't mind with that. It's just a bit of fun when you're playing them in the air. But what can happen on these venues is, because it's so deep, you still can catch shallow. So we set a shallow rig up, but it's a bit different than your normal one. From past experience, it's only really you catch roach shallow on this venue. It's been cold for months and months now. It's been froze over a couple of times. The F1s and carp probably aren't as active as what they normally are. So this setup replicates that, just trying to catch a few roach. I've just got a bulk of shot strung together, and then I've just got number 10 strung out, so it's nice slow fall in them layers. 015 mainline again, and then I've got a 4x16 F1 fine. Now you might think it's heavy, but we're fishing that in 9-10 foot of water, so you need to get your bait to where you're fishing. We're probably not going to catch anything 8 foot and above, so we want to be down 8 foot to 10 foot where we're fishing. And I've just got a single 5 elastic on this with a little match kit. Like I said before, if you start catching F1s and carp, we hooked 2 or 3, you can always get off the box and change it, but I don't think we're going to catch it today. It is bitterly cold, it's trying to snow, and there's a cold easterly wind on it, so I don't think we're going to catch many of the fish shallow, but we will catch some roach in that if they want to feed. So they're the rigs. What we're going to do now is move on to the bait and just show you how simple catching these fish in this deep water can be. I know it's a bit daunting to people, how the depth down here, but you can use it to your advantage and have a brilliant day's fishing. Right, so we've talked through areas of the peg, our rig, so now we're going to talk about what we're going to feed there and how we're going to catch these fish. Now, like I said, we're not bothered about what we're going to catch. We're going to catch roach, maybe perch, odd skimmer maybe, F1s hopefully, maybe an odd carp. So we've got to do our approach for this. Now I'm going to choose to use a ground bait approach. Just try and catch everything, put some particles in and get the bait down to the bottom. So the ground bait I've chosen to use today is dark Thatchers. That's 2 parts of that, so it's a whole bag, a kilo bag, and I've put half a bag so 500 grams of Sonia Bates roach. Just because I want the binding of the roach to get down. We're fishing in top 5 water today. It's really deep, and I want that ground bait not to break up mid-depth and send them fish up in the water. I want it to get down the bottom, creating areas for them fish to come and graze over, and then we can look to bring them off the bottom if we need to with loose feed. I just want that main target approach with this ground bait. So all I've done in here is got 3 little handfuls of ground bait. That's what I'm going to feed initially. I've got a small pinch of micros. What I'm going to do, same again of casters, small pinch in there. And now I'm going to add some pinkies just in case we get some roaches small in there. I'm not going to put any live maggots in this because it'll just break up my balls as I'm making them. So what I'm going to do is get them in a ball there. I'm not going to squeeze it too hard, but it's nice and firm. Just get that one. If you squeeze them too hard, they might roll down that shelf. But when I spoke about plumbing up, it's not too of a drastic shelf, like I said when I was plumbing up. So these balls won't really fly down that shelf. We're going to feed them a bit shorter anyway. I think got another little one there. So we're going to feed 4 in total. Now I haven't put any maggots in with my ground bait. Put that one in there, put them back. But when I feed my tiniest ball, I'm going to feed some maggots in there. So there's my ball. Just a bit smaller than the tennis ball, just a hand size. If you've got big hands, you'll have big balls of ground bait, but if you've got small hands, they'll be a bit smaller. I nearly said big balls then, I shouldn't say that. Right, so what we're going to do, to introduce it to the peg, we're not going to go all international style and ball it in. We're going to be dead accurate and make sure it's in the bit where we're going to fish. Like I said, the bottom is so rocky, I don't even know how deep it is out there, so I don't want my balls rolling down probably into 94 foot of water. So we want to be nice and accurate, make sure we've got a nice area to fish over. So what I'm going to do, pop them in, and just ship out to a mark. Just take your time with this, you don't want to be going too fast. Ooh. And breaking any pole sections or dropping your balls of ground bait in. So what you want to do, take your time, and as you're getting near your mark, just slowly steady everything up. Now, when I spoke about plumbing up, we're going to the end of the pole. Now if I feed my ground bait there, I've got no option to go past my feed. So what I'm going to do is just bring it back where the X starts on the X of 70. I'm just going to feed it there. So I'm in line with peg, I think it's peg 14 across. There's a chap fishing over there. So all I'm going to do is just go slightly to the left, just in line with the tree, plop that one in, and then just repeat the process again. Oop. Just make sure everything's nice and smooth. Make sure your cup doesn't spin off, and then tighten that up properly. There again. I haven't put any loose feed in with this. Just everything nice and smooth. Take your time. Now we're getting to our mark again. I can feel the pole. So we get to the excess there. This time it's going to go slightly to the right. It's like a diamond shape really. Third one. So we're creating a nice big area for any fish to come in and graze over. I'll get to there. This one I'm just going to go straight down the middle. Just a little bit back though, just come on the S of the 70. And then the last one, we're just going to feed the small nugget just past that 70. So we're going to plop that in there. And then we're going to feed probably 20 odd maggots, just loosely in there. So we have got some hook bait on the bottom, not just casters and a few pinkies and some pellets. Like I said, it's just important to keep everything nice and neat. Now there's there, and there's where I put me mark halfway down. I'm just going to push it, say 6 inch, and then loosely tap them maggots out so they go over an area so they're not all in the heath. So we got the bait and the fed. Let's try and catch some fish. Right, it's going to start fishing now. To start with, I'm just going to come about 10 inches off the bottom to see if there's any roach in the peg. If there is, we'll be able to catch them off the bottom and then work our way back down to them where them bigger fish are. So all I'm going to do is use a single maggot to start with. Now, with normal fishing, you flick your rig out and then follow it out. But because of the depth, you wanted to put it in a way a bit different. So what I'm going to do is drop it in front of me, try not to hook your keep net, and just ship it out in a straight line. And when you get to your 13-metre section, literally get to the end and just lift it up and flick the whole rig past where you're going to fish. Now this is a bit of pole control now. Just lower it down to where you're going to fish and hold it about 3 foot off the water, and you can see your rig catching up. So you see your Olivet's doing its job. And we're just going to feed, loose feed, just a few maggots twice, and then lower it down into the water there now. Oh, there you go. So then roach will come straight onto that feed there. I think it's a roach, doesn't seem to be fighting, a little bit of elastic out. There we are. Look at that. Ooh, and dropped him. So, nice little roach. Pop him in the keep net. Like I said, at the start, we just want to get some bites. Just drop that out again. Like I always speak about, it's that mini process. But fishing in this deep water can be so exciting. And then what more do you want in winter? Just getting some bites, but fishing quite deep. But there we go. Hold it there. So it's nice and steady. You'll see it coming round now. Loose feed. Nice big area. It's got a fair way to go. Then roach might even come off the bottom later on in the session. But to start with, we just... Ooh, had a bite straight away then. Hold that there. You'll find that with roach, or this style of fishing, when you're just off the bottom, you'll just plonk it down, it'll go straight away, because then fish have had time to watch it fall and they've followed it down. But it's a nice area where we're fishing there when we spoke about the area peg. Nice and flat. Dotted to a pimple. We don't want to be striking it too much because it's a lot to reset again. You don't want to be lifting your rig out all the time. It takes time for this rig to get down to the bottom. This is why I like a nice firm elastic number 8. If I was to use like a 6 or a 5, it might not set the hook properly and you might lose some fish. It's just about being nice and patient. Oh, there we are. Oh, missed that one. Like I said, reset that rig, so you want to lift your pole out, flick it back out again. Lower your Olivet where you're going to be fishing. Try not to bounce that float, just hold it still there. Loose feed again. Ooh. Go straight away there. Set me maggot. Oh, that might be why. Lower it down. See that float trim up. Oh, there's one. Keep the pole low. Take him off with number 5, then you got to swing him in. If it's a bit bigger, we'll net him, but oh, I'm going to swing that one. It's just about. There you are. Look at that. Can't beat that. A bit lively still. Can't beat that. Winter's day. Just going to try work way to the bottom now, so getting plenty of bites just off the bottom. I'm just going to put about 4 inches on there. I'm going to put a single maggot back on. Still trying to snow, but we're catching some fish, so it's not all too bad. Remember, you want to make sure the rig is in a line behind your pole. It just makes it the easiest, flicking your rig out past where you need it to be, and it's always going to come on an angle. If you let it come in that way, it'll probably drag on the shelf because it's such a steep shelf here on the clay pit. It'll probably drag on it. Can't get my words out now. But if you flick it out, it's always going to come into the shelf, and your presentation's correct then. Some roach feeding now. This is lovely. This is not all about F1s and carp in the winter. Ooh. Look at that. Can't beat that, catching dead deep. Nice little roach. Peas in a pod, them ones. So we're just going to get bites. It's not about feeding corn and fishing pellets all the time. We fed everything. We fed casters. We can loose feed some casters. We got them here. Just pop them in, loose feed a few. We can loose feed some maggots as well. It's not all about catching just carp and F1s. We can catch everything on this. The ground bait, we've got fatchers. So it's a nice versatile ground bait. It's got a lot of pellets in it, but we've also got the roach, which is a binder, and obviously it's got little particles in it with a fizz and pop off the bottom. Roach are quite inquisitive. They'll come in, like to feed off the bottom, up and down for the layers. They love loose feed, but if you've got an active ground bait on the bottom, it draws them in as well. I'm sure that was a bite. The wind just cut across me then. Cold easterly wind today, it's not ideal. It's trying to snow. Just keep feeding, working your peg all the time. Yeah. Classy roller. Nice one, this one. Lovely stamp. All the same, I haven't had a bit bigger one before, but trying to hook your maggot correctly. Hope it doesn't snow. Like I say, it's probably one of my favourite lakes here at Weston. It's not your normal commercial. You've got different depths, different areas where there's underwater features. It's probably forgotten in the winter time due to people a bit dubious of fishing in this depth, but just showing you today, all we've done is put a few balls of ground bait in, nice and easy. Yeah, we've probably mixed up too much ground bait for the session, but you can always freeze that and take it for your next time, or just use half of what we've used. But just a nice simple approach, not too much bait. You can catch all sorts of fish. I thought that was a bit weird then. Like I say, it's not too hard. You just need a 1.5 grams, 2 gram rig. Nice Olivet setup. You don't need loads of sections of pole. You could just put your cupping kit on, then put your rig on, feed your bait, then put your rig together. And it's just a bit different to the norm. Instead of fishing 3 foot, 4 foot deep, fishing 15, 16 foot here. Ooh. Feels a bit bigger. Pulling a bit of elastic back. You got a netter here. Come down to it. What you want to do is shorten it off so it just pops up right in front of you. What is this? It's a bit big one. Look at that. Yes. These have probably been here for years, and natural fish. Look at that one. Natural fish, probably been in here years. Never get fished for, but catching a fair few today. The old trusty M90, not M90, sorry, Access 70. M90 is my old pole, so. Keep that loose feed going in. There's a few fish out there now. We're getting regular bites. Ooh, it's a bite on the drop, that. I said we probably put them ground bait balls in, and then we did a bit of filming. So it's probably like an hour before we started fishing. So, like I said, if you get your bait in first, plumb up, get your bait in, mess around, getting everything set up nice and tidy. Give yourself an hour. Give yourself an hour before you get fishing, and then fish should come in. Because it's such a deep lake, they're not just going to be sat 5 metres in front of you. They could be sat in the middle. You feed your bait and they like to drift across. And then they'll settle on your bait, and once they're here, they stay for a bit, to be fair. Ooh. We could catch some F1s, the odd carp. Don't really want to hook a carp, but that'd be interesting, but that'll be interesting to hook a carp, but F1s, odd skimmer. Hey up, it's a perch. Little diddy one. Knew they were in here. It's starting to snow, which is not ideal. Follow right round then. As long as you keep that nice and straight, your rig ain't going to tangle over you all of it. Nice straight line there. Get to your mark, flick it out. Gets easy the more you do it. Nice control. That boat will sort itself out because all of that will bond down to the bottom. And as you hold your rig now, it'll all straighten out. And you can catch them that way. So, just going to catch another roach and we'll report back if anything changes, but we're just going to keep catching these fish. Look at that. Have a fantastic day, but we'll keep going with this session and then we'll report back in an hour or so. Right, so come to the end of the session now. We've had a brilliant day. We've caught some fish shallow, the bigger roach and stuff like that. We haven't had any hide though. We've had a big skimmer on the bottom. We've had a couple of rudd shallow as well. We've had some perch on the bottom. No sign of carp and F1s of yet, but we're going to just catch a couple more for the camera and then we're going to call it a day. We've had a great day here and then we can see what we've caught. So I'm going to lay out again. Hold that rig in position. Now I've been feeding the mixture of casters and maggots, mainly maggots. We've chucked a few casters in there just to try and catch some better bonus fish, which we have done, to be fair. We've caught some big roach, caught that skimmer. We've had loads of bites. They're all a nice dumpy size. They're like 3 to 4 ounce. The odd bigger one, 6 ounce. And we've had a really nice one, probably 10, 12 ounce. So it just shows if you're getting a nice feeding tactic, a few balls of ground bait, loose feed, fish with a bit bigger rigs and a bit bigger depth than you're normally used to, you can have a great day's fishing. I'll just try and catch a few more for the camera and then we'll head off, but it's been really enjoyable today. Noticed one thing, you had to loose feed quite a lot, but heavy. That's probably due to the depth of the water. You've got to think you're trying to get it down to 15, 16 foot, and firing in 4 maggots is not going to be enough. You need to fire in 10 to 12, even 15 at times. Pin them fish down to the bottom. If they want to intercept it at half depth, they will do, but like we've used the shallow rig before, we've caught some on it. Touching on the shallow rig, literally just same as the summertime, flick it out, hold it tight, and you can catch them that way. Now, it may seem weird using a 4x16, but remember you are fishing dead deep, and them roach do like getting caught, in the higher layers of the water. I know 9 foot doesn't seem shallow, but when you've got a peg this deep, there's not much else you can really do and get away with. So just keep trying to get one. One thing is really noticeable, when you loose feed over the top of your float, you sometimes get an instant reaction, and it's weird that to happen like that then in such a vast depth of water, but it still happens. I still hear the noise, still get triggered down to the bottom. Oh, it's another nice roach. Look at the stamp of that one. Another nice roach. But like I said, it just shows how good the clay pit can be. Don't get me wrong, we all like to catch carp and F1s, but when it's the middle of February, it's going cold, it's snowing in places, you just want to get some bites, and to be fair, it's something a bit different. Keeps you excited. Nothing more than sitting there on your rig, sitting in position, you're not knowing whether it's going to be a carp, an F1, a skimmer, a roach. And to be fair, that's what fishing's all about. It's just a nice way of getting out and catching some fish. That's why we brought you down here to Weston today, just to show you how versatile this lake can be. It's well known for catching hundreds of pounds in the summer of these carp and F1s, shallow and down the edge. But in the winter time, it's a forgotten lake really. And you can have such a great day on it. Oh, missed that bite. Have such a great day catching some silvers, especially with a minute with no matches allowed. It's just nice to get out and get some bites. There you go. Ooh. See a bit better one. Finish on this one. After what, net him. So with the net, just come down to your number 4 there. A little bit bigger. Probably could have swung him, but number 4, and the fish just pops up straight in front of you, like there. You can shimmy it down to unhook him, but they are another nice roach from the clay pit. Nice wild fish. Had a really enjoyable day. Just kept it dead simple. Fed some ground bait, loose fed over the top. Just caught a fish every time we've gone in. So let's see what we've caught. Right, so there we have it. What a brilliant day's fishing we've had here on the clay pit today. Big skimmers. Nice big roach, little skimmers, loads of bites. Not much more you can ask for on a winter's day down the clay pit. Let's get them back. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification so you don't miss any future videos.